Hey guys, I just wanted to continue or conclude or summarize this video briefly, but I'd like to wish you a good day and God bless and Shabbat Shalom. And sorry if any of this is heavy, because I always kind of try to come out with a positive outcome on things. And I think that's the whole thing, is that I kind of felt like I was done the topic, but then I kind of feel like that I'm not really done until I kind of come out with the answer. What's the answer, and it's always that positive view or whatever. But there was a couple things that I think that I didn't really define, or that I didn't really conclude. But one of them was just talking about the socialist materialistic ideology, and I think I referenced it in types of just the way that people behave or the modality of people or whatever. But I don't think I really referenced what the definition of it is. And I think, to me, the materialist is kind of the definition that I grew up with materialist was people that basically lived for money, or they liked expensive things, or things that seem to have high value, or luxurious things, fancy things, but basically money is what it meant. Anything to do with money, or the power that money brought, or the luxury or the pleasure. And now that idea has pretty much disappeared. It's more like the philosophical view, and that kind of relates to the ideological view too, I think, in a way. And so I basically see it as kind of it's very pragmatic, or it's very earthbound. It only deals with what's kind of right in front of you and what you can see. And so it's practical and functional, and it's kind of visual in the sense that it's relates to not the imagination or to the creative or to the spiritualizing of things, but it's more kind of dealing with what's right in front of you, and that you can envision or whatever with your senses. I'm sort of just trying to condense this, because I was already trying to define this and it was getting kind of long. So it's just the sort of very concrete and the sort of very functional. It does apply into behavior, because it's kind of just dealing with things living one day at a time, or just doing your work every day and doing what's functional and productive and stuff like that. It's so that's just a basic rundown of kind of what I see of it, but I think I neglected that. Then the other thing was that I was talking about Buddhism, Taoism, and philosophy and stuff, and I think that's kind of where I really left off, was sort of promoting that, but I was sort of positioning that against a sort of prophetic idea that I seem to be someone that's promoting different things than even what I seem to preach or believe. But I think what I'm saying is that, and also it seems to be let's say to go against the prophetic or the godly principles. But what I think I'm suggesting is that prophetic things have come up in the past, and I referenced Jeremiah, where he seemed to be saying it's not what you think you're supposed to do that is going to happen. God doesn't want you to try and shake Nebuchadnezzar's rule off right now, because he's going to crush you. So it's you just have to accept that that's the way it is. So when I'm talking about, and the reason that I gravitate towards Taoism and Buddhism, because I think that they are a profoundly godly way. It doesn't matter what the religion looks like. It's all about peace and the utmost respect for all living creatures. And that's just a cursory knowledge of what I know, but I don't know much, but it's it's almost you're gonna be hard pressed to find wrongs with it, I think, unless it becomes maybe too much of an extremist or excessive faction of it or something like that. So it's kind of like healthy thinking, healthy behaving. And like some people might just totally go off the handle and think that I'm prescribing something that's very unbiblical or whatever. And in a way I could be. So I don't want to say like I'm suggesting the answer or even that you should follow me. I'm just telling you what I think and what I envision, and also what I think is kind of like seems like a realistic possibility, but I could be the worst person to listen to. And like in some ways I get a sense and a vision that I kind of understand and sort of seems to resonate truthfully to me, and then other times I'm just not sure if I'm just pulling something out of a hat or whatever, like walking right into the enemy's trap, so to speak. But I don't think so. Like I think that what we need to look at is more like a millennial, and I mean a new millennial. Like how are we going to get through the next millennium? Like we need to get out of this idea, this mindset where we think that we are on the end stages of life. And this whole climate change ideology that verges into, I think, myth, or like presuming upon God when we don't really know what we're in. I think the fact is that we're treating the planet very badly, and it's reacting by a cursory, to use that word again, level of retaliation. Like it's like if you want to act like that, there's going to be fires and stuff, because it's like the ambient air is being compromised and stuff like that. You're already, you are heating up the surface, obviously. But are you really doing climate change? Are you really playing God? Are you really actually changing? Are you melting the icebergs? Like I don't think we can presume on that level. We can just say, you know what, we are cutting down a lot of trees and we're replacing them with technologies that we don't realize the impact is, and mass production. Of course, like ever since the industrial era, we've been just like running the surface of the planet into the ground. So I think that the earth is showing a response to that right away with increased fires and stuff like that I'm not going to really deny, But have we like dramatically impacted the climate itself, And again, I'd say, we probably have like a certain amount of increments of 1% or whatever, but like, is it past the healing point or past the point of no return, or, like that kind of stuff? I don't think it's fair for us to really feel like, and a whole bunch of other people seem to support that idea, that you can't speculate on that right now. But to me, the big danger is presuming that it's already the end stages and that we can kind of just get away with doing like whatever we want then, because the planet's already going downhill, which is kind of what I think that we are doing right now. And it's this cloud of like a negative ethos that we are subscribing to without realizing it, because additionally, I think it seems to favor having a kind of like cynicism or whatever, where that empowers us because we can act negatively, and a lot of us seem to thrive in that, like as opposed to sincerity and tenderness and profound soberness, godliness, whatever. It allows us to have this very like domineering stricture or whatever, that kind of like we can just be tough guys or whatever, and like it kind of complements that mindset, which then we can't really shake or deny because it seems cool or tough or powerful or productive or whatever. But it's like the pendulum has gone too far and it's coming back, I guarantee you, no matter what you think. So it's like we can't just keep playing the tough guy role anymore. It's either going to get really bad, but it's probably going to be bad no matter what, it seems like. But I'm thinking that it could be like we could, if we turn to God, we can kind of like maybe avoid that. I think that's kind of what I feel. That's what I'm really prescribing, but I don't really know necessarily what that looks like or how to promote that to the whole world. So I'm saying we could start by kind of having a more philosophical, more down-to-earth, holistic, simplistic, purist, like a very much a purist life is going to be like, we can't go wrong. So that's one thing. And I think that's kind of the main reason I embrace that philosophy. It's like, yeah, just to go back to that idea, it's kind of like, let's say we're not at the end stages. Let's say we're talking about like a political plan for the next 1,000 years. So I'd say, let's just say Taoism, the Buddhism is kind of like almost like a political platform for the next 1,000 years. That's the political platform. That's kind of like what we should be using to define our leaders and stuff like that. Like we need like the Dalai Lama should be like leading the planet, not Donald Trump. But it's kind of like what's more likely to happen. We're gonna like elect another Donald Trump or another Biden, right? Like we're not even gonna think about a Dalai Lama. So like, you think I'm saying something that's anti-Christ or anti-biblical, but I'm saying no. Listen, I don't even think we're gonna be thinking of Dalai Lama. So to even go in that direction is already going to be like a gain for like the next 1,000 years. And I'm just going to conclude this basically with that idea of just kind of thinking more along that lines. And that's kind of like where my mind is, that like we need something that we can embrace as a whole planet. And like, I think that's the last idea too, is that like right now we don't really have a leader. And I think that that's kind of dangerous, because it's like we have like a socialist materialist revival, but we don't even have a tyrannical despot as the leader. So like, what's going to happen next? It's like, I'm encouraging this whole world to turn to God, but I think we're also maybe kind of looking for a leader. And I don't think we're going to find that. There's not going to be a global leader. So I'm saying it's more like, for example, maybe a philosophical or a holistic or a sort of like environmentally sensitive approach is what we kind of need to do. So we need to back away from being such like bullies, or like even like big production and tough guys. Like we need to back away from that. And that's a hard thing for us to do, because to go back to that vision, it's like it's either all this stuff happening or the bottom seems like it's falling out from us, and that's hell. It's not. It's like that this is over. The pendulum has swung back over this. And then I was also saying, like, you're basically persecuting me. Like, I feel like an example, but maybe I'm a type or a microcosm, or maybe I'm a forerunner. Maybe I have a prophetic thing where I kind of like I've been tested, and a little bit. Either way, I think that you are failing me and you are persecuting me, and you don't even realize it. And I was like, you just ready to go on and on forever, because it feels like forever for me, because like you've basically destroyed my life, because it's like you've taken the things that I think I'm good at. And I'm not talking about like being an artist or a poet or something like that. I'm talking about like, I think I have a gift to be sensitive or whatever, but you're just like where I think I can be sensitive and also sensible. Like I've kind of like, even like I said, I was like sensitivity is always seen as a plus, but a real fault. Where I think I can say, like, I've looked at it as a fault, and in order to contrast myself, I've gone more along the way of you or like other people to sort of contradict that tendency. But then I've seen that it's like you didn't really go that way. Where I went that way with you, you didn't go that way with me. And where you could have left me quietly to be mine, you just hounded me mercilessly and mocked me and like have persecuted me without even knowing it. Like you don't even realize what you're doing to me. And I've never done that my whole life to anyone ever. Even like at the points in life where I was most kind of like oblivious to all this stuff that I'm more conscious of now. I still never did that. Not to saying that I'm so much better. It's more that I've been given more. Like I had so much good influence and input in my life that I think it helped me to never really go to those places of things that are mean or whatever. But it's like the pendulism, there's interesting word, has swung so far that way. And it's like, I think I'm an example of like how you won't get away with that, or that's like a mistruth. It's like, and it's not just about me. Like personally, like I think I would be in total despair, but I think God and life inspires me so much that I'm not even really in despair. So I'm just like in rage because you are treating me in a way that crushes me. But in a way, you have actually impacted in my life in a way where it is serious, because like my poverty and my destruction and demise is more real than I even realize. Like my physical health and stuff is now suffered irreparably, I think, because I've been so sidelined by society and the community. And I even still, like, I still have the tendency to forgive and forget all the time. It's like, dude, no, you cannot anymore. Like, you're not, like, now you're like a senior, basically, and you cannot forgive and forget anymore. Like, you can forgive. That's another philosophy. Forgive, but don't forget. And, like, because I'm too gullible and too naive and too, like, it's like I've trusted you guys, and you have like not done what I've done. Like you have like totally like bulldozed right over my life. And now like I'm so like I kind of was realizing it. It's like I got taken down, then I got up, then I got taken down, and then all of a sudden so many times that I realized like I've been taken down so many times that I've spent so much energy just getting back up again that has taken over my life. And I think that that's normal life, and that's pretty much all I do now, and that basically I spend all my time doing that. But also it has actually harmed me really badly, because I spent so much time on doing that and didn't even take stock of the fact that I was doing that. I've basically given my life up numerous times and just been dealing with opposition. But hey, nothing new, I'm sure. It's like everyday life in another way, right? But I look at it and it's like, that is serious. For me, like I'm coming to terms with the fact that my physical health is now hopelessly and irreparably damaged because of the ways in which I've trusted in society or whatever to actually have certain views or whatever. That's not what happened. It's like I got to a point where I was like way beyond, where I just realized you're gonna steamroll me into death. Like you're just like a giant steamroller, just like a giant bulldozer, just like you don't just want to point out that I'm in error a little bit. It's just like you'll just flatten me, and just like it's just crazy. Like when I got to that point, it's like I hate this life, but I don't hate life. It's like I hate this world society's evil or whatever, and I see that. So like I've gone into the personal, but then I'm like, to a point, like I'm saying, there's a complexity where I don't feel it and I do feel it. Like it's hard, it's kind of complex, like the implications. But I'm saying it's also not really personal, because if you're doing this to me, you're doing this to everyone else, and it's basically still a bully mindset, but it's more subversive. And that's what the socialist materialist ideology is. It's still a bully mindset. And it's not going to stand. Like truth and justice will prevail. You can't just pick me out as a runt and just pick on me without justice coming eventually. And it's like, if I'm an example or a typecast for other people, then you're doing that to others, and it's like you're doing that to God, and God won't let you do that. So it's kind of like it isn't just a personal thing. So I do feel all of that, but then I'm kind of like trying to counter all of that, and I'm trying to come up with what I think is a realistic or like I was going to say productive, but like I'm not trying to favor myself as, let's say, having a tendency or a gifting or a sensitivity towards philosophical, intellectual, spiritualizing, or whatever, any of those things. And I think I have athletic or like, you know, different other gifts too, you know, like, so that's not necessarily the only thing. But I sort of feel like I'm trying to suggest that you develop more of a way that is more like me. But I'm saying I don't think it is just that. I'm saying that, like, it has to be this way because the pendulum is swinging back whether you like it or not. And where I feel that I've gone further towards your way or to that way, down to explore that way, to become that. I didn't have a choice, basically. I had to survive, and I think I was too much in my own way. So I had to go the other way. But over the course of time, I think I went way over your way, and you never came over my way. So that to me is an indication where it's like, whoa, wait a minute, you know? And then again, if you just stopped there and you just let me peacefully be, that would have been maybe okay. But no, you totally mock me right to my face. Like now as an older man, like I'm senior man or whatever, and it's like I've been through a lot of stuff and I've had a lot of cool experiences. Like I think you should want me as a friend. Like I want you as a friend, and I treat everyone like that. Like if you can't keep a straight face, if you can't be serious, then think about that. Because that to me, that philosophy surpasses the tough guy attitude. Like you maybe can't shake that, and you're so used to power or benefiting from that. But look at it this way. Like one dominant philosophy in life is like you want to try to make friends with everyone. And then again, I can see how some people don't agree with that. They don't accept that. They kind of have like a very different kind of philosophical, competitive or whatever. And I realize that too. But I'm saying that it pretty much goes across the board. That if you are looking at, it's like when I see you, and I basically totally embrace this for like my whole life so much. And again, even to a fault. But I basically am totally treating everyone like I want to be your friend. I want your friendship. I want to gain your friendship almost. I think if that makes sense to say. But like I want to gain as many friends as I can. But it's not just like a number. Like I really want like all of you to be my friends. Like whoever, like it's almost like to say the more I could meet, the better. But in a way, it is. It's not really like about a number. It's just logic. Like, I want more and more friends. But I don't really feel needy. It's not like that. Like, I need to, like, become the next politician or whatever. Like, that I need more numbers. It's like, to me, like I sincerely look at every person. Like I want you to be my friend if you're not already. That's just the way that I am. And so how does that enact for me? Is that like when I smile at people, it's not just lip service. It's not just superficial. It's like, it's almost like a way of saying, hi, I hope you have a nice day and maybe we can be friends one day. And that's how I really feel. It's like, if I don't know you, like I just sort of want to pass on like a blessing to you. And it's sort of like subversively hoping that maybe I get to be friends with you at some point. And in a way, it's kind of like the heavenly vision, is that I see that we would all be together in unity and happiness and peace and all that stuff. So it's kind of like me in a small way. I act that way all the time. Whereas other people seem to have different ways that are more complex, and they're a little bit more guarded, or they're a little bit less, they don't show those things as openly as I do. It's, I guess you'd say, naive or whatever. And so like that's a difficulty for me. But like what I'm saying is like, please don't just mock me. Like when you don't even know me, whether you know me or not, like don't just like mock me to my face. That's just like unbearable, intolerable. It's just horrible. like like it breaks my heart, and in a way it's like kind of ruined my life because I don't really like have any ability to believe in the world community anymore. But like, I'm not saying that you're really going to care about that or even should, but at the same time, like, I think like I'm just asking you to like treat me like I want to be your friend. Like, it's not like I want to. And again, that is a fault almost biblically, because it's like, it's weird because the Bible has straightened me out. It's like you're too much wanting to be a nice guy and friends with everyone. Like I'm not talking about like level 1 religion where you're trying to convert people. I'm talking about level 2 where you have a guy that's just like a grown-up child that's had things so easy that he hasn't realized that you have to like be way more tenacious. Like, and in your case, like me, I'm saying, I realize that like I'm not near enough tenacious to be like a godly man anymore at my age. Like, I need to like be way more uncomfortable. I need to be like preaching and teaching, and like I need to like try to tell God's story, whether or not it makes me look like an idiot or not. And it's like, sorry, but like, you think you're gonna get all these friends? For one thing, you're not, because like the very things you're talking about are just like giving like very, very bad vibes, or very, very unwanted vibes about like Christianity or the Bible or anything that people like. Once they hear that, you're not even gonna have to open your mouth. Your reputation is gonna precede you everywhere you go, and people are gonna mock you, hate you, persecute you, all that stuff. Even if like I've tried to be a total peaceful guy or whatever, and in a way like a pacifist and all this stuff, much so worse, because what they like is a guy that pushes a few buttons and like stirs up the pot a little bit, and then at the very least they can just like kind of flare out or like just say something stupid and get it off their chest, and like they can write that guy off. But you are like actually like a sucker for punishment because you're trying to be like friends with everyone, really. And I'm like thinking that you're gonna like actually accept me on that. In a way, you know, like maybe that's why I get exactly what I get, because that's the exact thing. Like you just cannot help but mock that. And that is what I'm like saying, like I cannot help but do. Like that's just the way I am, kind of like I'm like an extreme to the point where I'm useless to God, because like God would rather you be actually like, see, this is where people hate the Bible, and this is where I hated it, but like literally God sees you as more humble if you go and preach like an asshole and make a fool of yourself and everybody hates you as an annoying preacher. God sees you as more humble because you were trying to serve God and you just actually made a big mess of it, but you actually pushed enough buttons that people got some of the story. But what I say, there's a time and a place for everything, and like some people are planting seeds, some people are nurturing. Like I consider myself, I'm a nurturer, or I'm a planting of the seeds, but I'm not the one to convert. And I sort of avoid that like at all costs. I don't want to try to convert people, but God, I think, is saying to me, it's like you need to be doing that at all costs. You need to do it, whether it's messy, whether it's rude, whether it's crude, whether it's obnoxious, whether people are angry at you, whether people are like whether people despise you, whether people scorn you, whether people mock you. And I'm just like feeling more of like people are like, they're just looking at me with emptiness, like I'm not a real person, or they're like smugly smiling at me, or condescendingly like sneering at me or something like that. And yet like I get one person that seems totally sincere, and like so I meet so many like people that are really nice, but then like I meet so many people that are kind of like, it's like, you didn't do that to me when I was a teenager, you know? So it's like, or did I not see it? That's what I don't get. Like, did I not see it? Because when I was a teenager, it was like, or a young guy, like a young adult age, like it just seemed like everybody either minded their own business about, like when I was in my life, they either minded their own business or they were kind of like quite socially warm towards me. Whereas now I find that there's a lot of people that are quite socially warm towards me, but then there's all these other people that kind of seem like they're just putting me down. And like I could see that if you kept it to yourself. But it like, to do that to me, like face to face, it's like you're really letting me down in a way as people. Like, you so care little about me as a stranger. And then I also see that I've always had a like strong like tendency to be compassionate, and that you people don't get that at all. And that's like I did a kind of another video topic on that, this idea of compassion, trying to break it down, how it's kind of like, it's not like I'm so great or so humble. Like compassionate, it's like comes with the territory of like you've been given so much that compassion just flows out of you. It's like very grounded and real. It's like you don't feel comfortable if not everyone around you is happy, so you just kind of try to alleviate that. It's like a naivety almost, but you try to alleviate that, and then you end up spending all your time doing that. That's one of the ways I think we serve God, is as good stewards, because of that compassion. Like when, like, we don't just want to selfish, like we're having good thoughts about life, but we don't want to selfishly get caught up in that when we see a person that's not feeling good or something. And so it's not like we're trying to be doing something noble in those situations. It's almost like we're deferring our joy to try to help someone up so that we can actually get back to our joy. It's like a selfish thing in a way. It's kind of weird that way, but I'm just saying that briefly to, like, you guys don't seem to even get that. And it's like, don't misconstrue that. Got one of my 4-footed friends here. Don't misconstrue that to think that I'm trying to act like some noble person. But what I'm saying is that, like, I'm not really going to deviate from where I am. It's like, I guarantee you at my age, it's like I've lived my whole life within context of having a compassionate eye, I think. So, like, I think that you need to start to come my way. Like I absolutely reject an insincere attitude towards life. So I think you need to come my way, because I think God is on my side, or I'm on God's side with that. That's a godly characteristic or godly character trait. And I'm not trying to be prideful or whatever, because I think, you know, like at this stage in life, I feel like I've addressed the fact that God gave me God planted those seeds in me early in life. And so what that means is that they had a little bit of time to mature. Like when I was a child, like I could never handle seeing a kid being made fun of in school. So I always tried to like say something encouraging to them. But I could never do that. I just never could. And that was one way that it acted out already as a child, but I don't think it acted out much more than that. But as I grew up and became an adult or whatever, then like later on in life and in my spiritual journey, then I think what happened is that it started to kind of like quote unquote bear fruit. But I'm not saying, I almost don't feel like very fruitful. That's the only fruit that I feel that I do maybe potentially have some ability in, is that like the compassion then became more like a conscious decision. Then like what I started to do was, like, when I dedicated myself to God as an adult, or rededicated myself, or seriously made like a decision where I'm gonna take God to be my Lord, then what happened is I just try little tests every day. Like how it says to go 2 miles with a guy that asks you to go 1 mile or whatever. It's like basically when I came across situations in my life where daily thing, I'm not saying you guys don't do this, but when I came across situations in my daily life, I'd start to, and again, it's not really like I did anything different, but it's just like now I was unaware as an adult, where it's like, oh, that's an opportunity where you can put your day on hold to make a little difference, and it's not necessarily going to cost you that much. It's just like putting your things on hold a little bit. And what happens is, it's like you cumulatively develop all these instances where you did that, and then you become sort of more versed in it, where you kind of like, you're actually now like, you're seeing that like sometimes you're dropping that ideology here and there, like you're kind of like, and you're also getting deeper into it and better at it. Like you're kind of like, you start to become more good at it, sort of. It's weird. Like you're not just like a child where you did it out of innocence. Like now you're kind of like, you know how far you can push things. Like sometimes it's almost like people get annoyed when you're the good guy or whatever, and you're actually like kind of real, like seeing how far you can push it before you get jeopardized, where it's like, you know what, it's not going to be good right now, because you're like trying to do what's good, you want to, but like people just aren't keeping up with you in that idea, or they think you're too far or too cracked up or something, or like you're just losing everyone. Like it's going to be actually worse if you don't ease off a little bit. So it's kind of like you're consciously like pushing the limits, but you're not trying to push limits. It's like you kind of just are trying to live your life. But then like, because those instances come, now you're saying, is this going to cost me just a few minutes? Or is this going to, but the reality is you don't think about it that much. You sort of do and you sort of don't, where it's like, bottom line is it ends up a lot of times becoming part of your day. Or as I was saying, opposition becomes part of your life. It's what your life is. But then it's like, what the heck? Then the whole thing is I'm actually responding to opposition, which I call compassion. It's like weird. Then it's like, you'd be better off than if I just had abandoned everything right from the beginning, like Christ called me to do, and just went out and followed Christ and just left everything behind. Because now it's like I spend so much time doing opposition or fighting opposition and doing like incremental compassion that it's totally become what I do all day, every day anyways, like a job. So it's like, in the long and the short of it, it's kind of like I'm serving God anyways, but by the wrong way, that like I didn't abandon everything for God. Now the culture persecutes me and causes me to be more godly or spokesperson. It's just weird. It's like God is using you to make me into an apostle or a prophet or something like that. It's weird. That's kind of how it feels. So yeah, I am pushing the limits of it. Like I'm kind of like saying, can I like, when on a day-to-day basis, when I'm encountering things, can I test the spirits a little bit more, or do like little things? Like it's kind of like you're not really sure, but like you're trying to, it's like you're trying to win little victories for the kingdom all the time in the average day. And then all of a sudden, like, because you just try to do that, it actually shapes your day where it is like a job. So your job isn't your job, what you're doing. Your job is the fact that you just try to make a little victory actually throws a wrench into things in a big way. And then you're covering your tracks all day. But what's interesting is kind of that you are sort of maturing or developing, like you're kind of like realizing that that is your job, and that you're kind of like you're even fighting a battle, or you're like dealing with it in a more mature way, where you are kind of like seeing how much ground you can gain that day. But anyway, so like I just wanted to say that like I've gone sort of further along or past the point where I think I'm really going to be getting friends anymore, in a way. Like I guess those two things are coming to get culminating, where it's like it feels like I'm at war now and I'm doing battle and I don't know how to get out of it. Like I don't really have the ability to go back to where everyone was going to be friends with me anymore. Like I crossed the line, but I never have. In a way, like I've always stayed just at the very end. I've stayed just short of crossing the line, where I like refuse to accept that. It's like my life mission is to like fulfill the mission without crossing into the boundary of being the guy that is like that's like hated. Like I don't want to do that. I don't ever want to be hated. Like I hate that more than anything in a way. So it is very real when I'm saying, can you be my friend? But I'm willing to accept in a way that I have crossed over that line, because I'm so on close to that. And I sort of feel like when I started to realize that by hanging back, you just plowed right over me like so many miles. Have you, like, we're not talking about 7 times 7 times 70 of forgiving you. Like, it's like where I realized that it's just infinitely sort of persecuting or mocking me, like just so much that it just blows my mind, that like, and to the point where it's like it took so many times of doing that before I realized it. And now it's like, do I forgive you? It's like, I don't really know. I'm not sure what that looks like. I think it's more like forgive but don't forget. Like I'm going to execute God's judgment on you, just as you have been used by God as an instrument to me unknowingly, and you're profiting from that. Like you're kind of aware that you're doing God's work by persecuting me or forsecuting, yeah. Like you're kind of not letting me be an artist. You're not letting me do what I want to do. And then like you're not taking into the fact that you're kind of like playing God's game. So it's like you're righteously judging me, and yet you're not even acknowledging God and the maker and the creator of you and this whole existence. So it's like I'm almost seeing that like I'm ready to execute God's punishment back on you. Like that's kind of how far it's gotten. Like to the point where for the first time in my life, I am actually willing to do battle and to fight against you, because I realize that I like have to. Like the final call of God is that like I'm not able to get through life without even getting blood on my hands. It's like, or let's put it this way, that I had to realize that I've actually got so much blood on my hands already that I basically almost this is weird, like I almost have to face up to it and finish the battle a little bit with with a bit of real blood on my hands. Like I've already done that in a way. Like I've done that not when I was being a compassionate, godly person without even knowing God in my life, because I was just acting out the God that was already in my life that I'd received from youth. Not then. At those other times in youth where I was totally neglecting all of that good knowledge and wisdom and training and godliness, and being like somebody who profited from mass production, who profited from all the things I've been talking about in this video, who profited from all these negative schemes or stratagems or ignorance, or like ignoring people when I could have helped and stuff like that. And to go back to compassion, I think I wanted to point out that, or maybe it was just something in my thoughts, that like I am humbled and afraid by the fact that like I have totally acted kind of like a big businessman with God's word. Like those times where in these later years in life, like when I've been like a parent or whatever, or just been trying to do, or like in business, kind of trying to be like a business guy. Like I wasn't really necessarily trying to be a business guy, but just trying to do my job. And I kind of was just like all like gruff, like how I talk to people or something. Like I don't even really know. I just get or maybe I don't want to know. I just get these fragments or glimpses of how I've behaved at other times, and I'm just like, that's like blood on your hands. Or you think at the very least it's like you are culpable or like accountable for the fact that you have known God's word, and yet you've acted in these ways where you're like really, really harsh in a way. Like I think I'm so sensitive and kind and nice, but at other times I think I'm really harsh. Like this whole video broadcast thing or whatever, it's like it's really coarse and crude and like what's the word, like uncompassionate or something like that I'm trying to think of. It's like, and I think that's a lot of times how people deal with me, and I've kind of avoided that too. Like I've like thought I was so nice for the longest time, that I was so sincere and nice, and then I realized that like I'm kind of like, I have like a reclusive bad attitude in a way where like I'm not really mean. Like I'll never be like mean, but I'm kind of mean in the sense that I don't want to talk like in the early part of the day. And then as the day goes on, like I like to get I don't know if it's the day going on. I never realized this all these years, but I always feel better later. And I guess maybe it's the sense that like in the day, the pressures of being able to accomplish or not what I need to do or what I'm supposed to do, I don't know. And so it culminates in me wanting to keep quiet and just like quietly work. And if anyone comes near me, then I act really weird or whatever. Sometimes I think I'm really like forceful and stuff like that, which is kind of weird because like when I'm by myself, I just work quietly and diligently for like long periods of time. But then when someone comes into that, and I've totally overlooked that, it's like when you act that way, you're like really harsh in a way, like you're just like hardcore, like almost like aggressive. And I kind of overlooked that. Like it's like, how many times have I done that? Like in the work day, I just act like a certain way and then I justify it. Or I kind of like do that thing where I like barge into the space and I really throw my weight, because it's like I feel like I know my vocation or whatever. So in those ways, like I don't question, I just walk in there and I like act really assertively. But to the largest extent, I don't think people have really held that against me. In fact, in a few instances, I think people have flared up against it, and it's like not really that surprising. But I think for the most part, people, like, it's kind of a way of like you behaving in a certain way, and people almost expect that and appreciate you. It's like getting the job done. However, I think that's in a way part of the problem too, is because when you do that, then you don't realize that you are doing that whole thing again. We almost come to think that militant way of managing is good. And then even like for me, that I think I'm so sensitive, and yet I'm totally subscribing to that. And it wasn't until a point, I think, where I read in my life earlier, a long time ago, where someone says you're maybe involved in certain power structures without really even knowing that they're kind of evil and wicked. And I kind of read that and I was like, kind of didn't want to face it, but I kind of did. And I was like, yeah, I think so. Until like give or take another decade or 2 or 3, it's like, yeah, that is totally it. It's like, yeah, I just like, and now again, this goes back to what I'm saying. It's like you got blood on your hands. The other day I thought this, it's like, I so realized that, and it's like, I've been thinking about how to change, or like I've been thinking about like what it is to feel like when you look at that, and then looking at people that have been before me, and that I can see that they realized in their life that they were going a certain way, and then like all of a sudden they realized they've been living their whole life and how it must feel heavy and stuff. And then I kind of like was like, the other day I was like, you're there now too. And then I was like, you know what? Don't even stop right now. Like now you've gone past the point, like there was those times where you were at work and you were kind of saying like you're busy, you got to get a lot of stuff done, so do it. Now you're past that, but now it's a different philosophy. It's like, don't stop just yet, because literally you like, And that's kind of what the world is doing too. It's like I'm doing what the world is doing that I hate so much, I guess, and that's why I get that back. It's like, don't stop right now, though. Like, don't stop today, because you know what? Like, safety is at stake, literally. I think it gets to that point. Like, it's like, I never went to the army or whatever, but I think at a certain point, it's like the army mindset dominates our society, and it's like, don't turn around all of a sudden when you're supposed to be going forward. Like, you may cause bloodshed down the road or whatever, but like, if you turn around and run right now, it's just like, no, like, you're gonna cause just like major disaster, like on your own team, sort of, or whatever. That's just the thought that came to me the other day. Was just like, whoa, hold on, you can't make up for like 10, 20, 30 years of being a certain way. And I think that that's what a lot of people do when they come to a place of following God in their life. Then they realize that like they've got all that baggage, and like sometimes you don't really notice it. Like, you think that you have totally changed, and maybe you changed from that point, but you don't even realize that what you did in 1 or 2 years was like worse than you've done positively in the last 10, 20, 30. Just what you did in those 1 or 2 years, never mind 5, 10, 15 years. But for me, I always say there was like 10 years where I kind of don't really, like, that just seemed kind of like I was like just doing my own thing and doing a lot of destruction in a way. And like, so it's like, whether it's that or whether it's like the next ensuing 10 years or a couple decades where you're kind of still doing that, but you're like way more consciously have abandoned that, but you don't realize still how deep it all goes. Either way, to the point now where it's like, it's literally gone so far where I think there is no way out now, but I have to fight, which is the hardest thing for me of all. That like, I've never done that and I never want to do, and now I'm starting to do it, which is weird. Like, I'm not really. I'm never going to agree to that. Like, how can you, right? Like, it's like, maybe you are, maybe you're not, but like, I don't really think that I can ever really agree to that. Like, I'll always find a way out at the last minute, because I think in a way, God will never call you to do that. Unless you're back in the Old Testament days where you were fighting physical battles. God will always give you a way out. So I'm thinking that God might allow me to go into that fighting mode, kind of, but he's always going to give me a way out. And that's another big thing that I want to say. It kind of goes back to that idea of compassion. Like, the whole thing that has shaped my adult life, or I think my mature walk with God, is that, like, man, you just got to test God all the time for you to find the way out. Like, that, I'm not sure how to explain that whole idea quickly, but I do feel the need to do that, and yet I don't know if I can. And like, it's like, it goes back to that idea of compassion, I think, too, is that you're kind of like playing this game where like you're living your life in a way too, but then like sometimes you get so deep into things and it gets so involved that you're just like, but you just totally need to count on God. I don't really like people talking that much about trusting God. That's something I think I need to work on, but it's a very, very complex, difficult thing. What I think is more realistic is that you need to always just hold in, like, just hang in there until God delivers you and finds a way out of the complex situations. And that also means one of the things that you really need to stand your ground, and like you need to keep standing your ground when things are like so many layers past things that you've come full circle and you wonder why you're even doing it, but it's real and you need to like stand your ground. And like at those points, then what's going to happen is at the very end, you're just going to be in the worst situation where you're so confused that you feel like you are the bad guy in a way. And hopefully you haven't kind of fallen into those traps along the way, like that, because then it's almost too late. Like now you're gonna already face God's judgment in those things, maybe, so to speak, not in the afterlife, but maybe right away. Like who knows, like how complicated. So hopefully you haven't really done that, but more like if you're walking a righteous path, then you might get so, because like you're always kind of doing things that are lustful. That's what I'm saying. Like you're kind of doing things that are self-serving all the way. So, but knowing that you're still on the righteous path, then hang in there right to the last minute, because when you get so caught up in the complexity of the day or of that time, then you can count on God to deliver you right at the end of the day. That's really important. So, like I kind of want to put that out there, I think, because like what it means to me is trying to be more of providing an idea, an example that's maybe not so much saying about things that are philosophical or ethical, but more of me trying to say, like, it's amazing how many layers deep you can go, to the point where actually you become like a very serious like force. Like you are, like, all of a sudden you've gone so many layers deep that you're either going to seem like a complete freak, a complete nutcase, or a complete failure, or a complete like addict, or a complete lustful, sexually deviant person, or a completely like corrupt, selfish person, or I was going to say also, I was just trying to think, like or mentally insane, or like targeted as mentally unbalanced, which is a complex attack, perhaps. Targeted as mentally unbalanced, or excessive in too. Like, because I've said, like, I'm a kind of guy that believes in like in these spiritual things, and yet I've operated on a level of being, like, I think in a way I'm a very materialist person, but what I realized is that I think I've been very self-preservation orientated, and I didn't notice that I was, because I thought it was actually healthy. But nonetheless, I think God has honored that in me, is that I've been very, very, very stubborn about things like kind of like being like an environmentalist or whatever, but like on a really, really profound level, to the point where, like, that goes back to that sort of compassionate day-to-day life, I think, where I try to do things which I think are like very very sensitive about the environment or whatever, to a point where it's like extreme, like it's just doing actions that seem like gymnastics. And that's kind of goes back almost to, again, to that idea of just waiting on God, because it seems like it's getting crazy, but it's like you're being really stubborn. It's like you're just holding on to those ideas. It's like you're like, that's true religion in my mind too. It's like you are not willing to like compromise living creatures or whatever, and then you see how far that goes, and it's like right away you get into problems, because it's all of a sudden you realize that you're like, your whole existence is totally doing that. And it's like, it's really heavy for me, like how you can't seem to avoid that, and yet you're trying to say that you are totally not going to do that. You're not going to accept any compromises on that. And like, I want to go back just in closing on that one more idea relating this, is that title of that Keith Green book, No Compromise, is so important. That's where you go from being like falling into any of these categories that I've just mentioned, and perhaps drowning in them or whatever. I don't even know. Won't go there right now. No compromise. And there's a type of compromise that we favor. It's not that one I'm talking about. I'm talking about just be so stubborn that you get so many cycles deep into complexity that you just like your head is spinning and you're just bewildered with complexity. But then just watch God act, and he doesn't even need to do a miracle. He'll deliver you from that, and that's when you start to become quite powerful, I think, on God's side, working with God, which is really cool. God bless.